All right, welcome to this explainer, where we are going to unpack the real reasons 5G adoption is lagging across the globe. More importantly, we'll see how a fascinating virtual simulation holds the absolute key to speeding the whole thing up. We're going to dive into some incredible research today that basically turns the super complex world of telecommunications into something resembling a strategic city-building game, all to find the ultimate winning formula.
So let's just jump right in. We were all promised a 5G revolution, right? I mean, for years, the headlines have been absolutely flooded with talk of lightning-fast downloads, seamless connectivity, and just a totally transformed digital landscape. So it's a completely fair question to ask, where is it? Why does it feel like we are literally still waiting for the future to arrive in so many of our cities?
Well, the reality is a massive clash between expectations and, honestly, pure economics. Despite the incredible potential for things like smart cities, remote telehealth surgeries, and autonomous vehicles, the rollout has just been sluggish. The source material for our explainer today focuses on a case study in Indonesia, but listen, the underlying problem is totally universal. Mobile network operators, or MNOs, are hesitant. Developing the infrastructure, like spectrum frequencies and brand new cell towers, requires astronomical upfront capital. And when stakeholders try to act alone, the investment risk simply outweighs the immediate reward, and the whole system just stalls out.
All right, Section 1, How Technology Actually Spreads. To understand exactly how to break this gridlock and get 5G into our hands faster, we need to look at the classic diffusion of innovation theory. Basically, there's a bell curve showing how a population slowly moves from the innovators on the far left, the people waiting in line overnight for a brand new gadget, all the way over to the laggards on the far right. When mapping out 5G, telecommunication companies are completely desperate to figure out how to push the mass market over to the left side of this curve as quickly as possible. Because the faster the early and late majority adopt the tech, the faster the network operators recoup those massive investments.
Which brings us to Section 2, Building a Virtual Society.
Because testing out different business strategies in the real world costs literally billions of dollars, researchers utilize something called agent-based modeling, or ABM. This is an incredibly powerful tool that lets us simulate highly complex scenarios. Think of it kind of like programming a deeply sophisticated video game. Researchers create virtual agents that represent real people, real households, and businesses. They program these agents to interact, check their budgets, look at what their neighbors are doing, and ultimately make decisions about whether or not to adopt a new technology like 5G.
But before running the game, the researchers actually had to define the rules. They mapped out exactly how real-world players, like the network operators, the central regulators, and local governments, could potentially collaborate. And they identified huge potential savings. For instance, if an operator shares infrastructure with a competitor, they could save anywhere from 10 to 40% on operating expenses. If the government provides incentives, we see massive drops in spectrum fees. What they found was that working together wasn't just a nice idea to talk about, it fundamentally shifted the underlying math of 5G deployment. Now here's where it gets really interesting. These real-world collaborations, they were transformed into adjustable digital sliders within the simulation itself. Researchers built in a slider for operator sharing, one for government incentives, local government cooperation, and infrastructure co-innovation. By sliding these up and down, they could completely tweak the rules of their virtual city, simulating everything from a highly competitive, totally isolated market all the way to a fully unified collaborative ecosystem.
Moving on to Section 3. Programming human behavior.
So here's the thing. A simulation is completely useless if the agents inside it don't act like real, unpredictable humans. If the digital citizens don't mimic real-world desires and hesitations, the resulting data is just worthless. So they didn't just guess the behavior. They actually went out and surveyed 437 real people. The responses from those individuals served as the behavioral DNA for our virtual agents. They used this precise data to program how eager the digital citizens would be, what features they genuinely cared about, and crucially, who they listened to before making a purchase. And that survey pinpointed exactly what these agents care about. The data reveals that 65% of respondents are anticipating enhanced mobile broadband, and over 57% are looking for fixed wireless access. Interestingly enough, while sci-fi concepts like autonomous vehicles are cool, they actually rank a bit lower in immediate consumer demand compared to, just getting incredibly fast, reliable internet at home and on the go. This is what gave the virtual agents their true motivations. Now let's see how this translates into the corporate world, because obviously it's not just about us individuals buying smartphones. There is a massive willingness from business decision makers to invest in 5G for their companies.
The researchers multiplied the adoption thresholds for businesses in the simulation, knowing that a company's decision involves multiple stakeholders, like pitching to a CEO and a CFO, but it carries a vastly larger financial impact when they finally do adopt.
And critically, the survey proved how these agents influence each other. When asked how much they rely on word of mouth from friends compared to traditional marketing, the data showed that friends have a massive, massive impact. So in our virtual simulation, agents were programmed to literally watch each other. If an agent's digital friends upgraded to 5G, it significantly pushed that individual past their own adoption threshold. It perfectly mimics that real-world feeling when all your friends get a new app or device and you finally just cave in and get it too. Okay, Section 4. Simulating two futures. With our virtual society perfectly programmed, they pitted the current reality against the ideal dream scenario. The first scenario is called wait and respond. This is where the sliders are set super low. It means everyone works in expensive silos. Network operators don't share cell towers, local governments are super slow with permits, and there are absolutely no big financial incentives. Then they ran the optimistic champion scenario. Here, the sliders were pushed almost all the way up. This represents full, unified stakeholder collaboration. Operators share power and antennas, governments fast-track those permits, and innovative technologies are fully utilized. And the results? Honestly, absolutely incredible. When they virtually pushed those collaboration sliders to the maximum in that optimistic champion scenario, the simulation resulted in a staggering 34% improvement in diffusion time. I mean, let that sink in for a second. By simply changing how the major players cooperate behind the scenes, the exact same new technology reached the mass market 34% faster. As the researchers concluded in their study, collaboration is not just some nice, feel-good regulatory buzzword. It is the ultimate, proven mathematical key to unlocking faster investment returns. For businesses, a 34% faster adoption rate means literally billions of dollars recouped years ahead of schedule. And for consumers, it means accessing the benefits of a true next-generation network without waiting another half-decade for it to arrive. So taking all of this in, look around at the slow tech rollouts happening right now in your own city. We so often blame the technology itself, right? But the math clearly shows us the real bottleneck is just human organization. What collaboration sliders do your local stakeholders, your city council, your internet providers, your state regulators need to push forward to spark the next technological revolution? The blueprint is definitely there. We just have to be willing to actually play the game together. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.